Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Karina Fitri Aulia. I'm the first presenter of the fifth group, and now we are going to do a presentation about the style and tone in literature, and we have chosen Drifting Home, a short story by Andy Adams. And in the fifth group, there are five people. The first is Dendi Tegar, and then me myself, and then Kaisa Sabila, Zekiati Nuril Alia, and also Maulida Fatima. Okay, then now I am going to present the first material, which is style. So, what is style? Style in literature refers to the distinctive way in which an author uses language to convey their ideas, emotions, and also the themes. It encompasses various elements such as diction, syntax, imaginary, and figurative language, and also the narrative techniques. Style is what sets one writer apart from another, giving their work a unique voice and identity, and it also can be formal or informal, ornate or simple, complex or straightforward, depending on the author's purpose and artistic preferences. Analyzing style in literature allows readers to delve deeper into the text, understanding not only what is being said, but also how it is being said. And then next is tone. So, tone in literature refers to the author's attitude or emotional stance towards the subject matter, characters, or audience within a piece of writing. It sets the overall mood and atmosphere of work, influencing the reader's perfection, perception, and also interpretation. Tone can be conveyed through various literary devices such as word choice, imagery, dialogue, and narrative voice. Also, it can range from serious and formal to light-hearted and humorous, from melancholic and somber to hopeful and optimistic. Understanding the tone of a literary work is crucial for grasping its underlying themes, intentions, and the emotional impact it aims to evoke in the reader. And the next is the factors of analyzing the style and tone in a literary works. So the first is diction. What is diction? Diction is the choice of words and phrases by the author. And then the next is the sentence structure. So the sentence structure, it reflects pacing and also the emphasis of words and sentence. The third is figurative language. The figurative language employs figures to speech like metaphor, simile, and personification. The next is rhythm and sound. The rhythm and sound, including rhyme, alliteration, and also assonance in literary works. The fifth is dialogue. Uh, from dialogue, we can reveal the character traits, relationship, and the cultural context of a literary works. The next is narrative device. So, what is narrative device? Narrative device is a technique used by writers to convey a story or convey information within a narrative. These devices can shape the structure, perspective, and style of a story, enhancing its effectiveness and impact on the reader. The next is the pacing and structure. It is kind of similar with the sentence structure. So, in the passing and structure, the pace, it is about the pace and how the text is being organized. And then the last is the themes and symbol. The themes and symbol are including objects, characters, or setting that representing deeper meanings of the works.
The type of diction used in the works, how does it impact the story? How does it impact you as a writer? The writer of Dirty Notes use a variety of diction types, including slang, formal, and profanity. The diction used in the story can be categorized as primarily middle to low. The use of slang terms such as wagon, horse, and man is common throughout the story, giving it a more casual and colloquial tone. The use of formal language is also present in the story, particularly in the description of the character and their action. For example, the writer described the cowboy as priding themselves on their outfits and bringing us a box of cigars. The use of profanity is minimal in the story, but it does appear in some instances, such as when the cowboy curses the crouching figures of his partners. And the different types of diction used in the story help convey the hardship, challenges, and friendship experienced by those living and working in the American West during the time period. As a writer, the impact of the diction is to transport me into the world of American West, making me nostalgic or curious about that era.
The next question is: how does any satire, irony, or humor in the tone of story contribute to its meaning? The story Drifting North contains elements of satire, irony, and humor throughout its recounting of various experiences. One example of satire is seen in the character of the marshal who is trusted to guard money but ends up attempting to rob a bank himself. The highlights the theme of misplaced trust, the irony of someone in position of authority betraying that trust. Additionally, the repeated instances of criminals meeting their downfall despite their supposed cleverness or luck serve as ironic twist in the narrative. The humorous anecdote shared by the character, such as the failed bank robbery and the stagecoach hold-up, also add light-hearted tone to the story. Overall, these elements contribute to the satirical and ironical portrayal of life of the Western frontier. Okay, the next question is: while attitude and emotions are expressed, how does the language used communicate this attitude? The attitudes and emotions expressed in the story vary depending on the characters and situations described. Overall, there is a sense of camaraderie and lightheartedness among the cowboys as they share stories around the campfire. There's also a sense of adventure of danger, particularly in the anecdotes about robberies and holdups. Additionally, there's admiration for courage and resilience, as seen in the recounting of various character experiences. The emotions expressed range from amusement and camaraderie during the storytelling to fear and tension during the recounting of dangerous encounters. The next question is: how does any satire, irony, or humor in the tone of story contribute to its meaning? The story Drifting North contains elements of satire, irony, and humor throughout its recounting of various experiences. One example of satire is seen in the character of the marshal who is trusted to guard money but ends up attempting to rob a bank himself. The highlights the theme of misplaced trust, the irony of someone in position of authority authority betraying that trust. Additionally, the repeated instances of criminals meeting their downfall despite their supposed cleverness or luck serve as ironic twists in the narrative. The humorous anecdote shared by the character, such as the failed bank robbery and the stagecoach hold-up, also add light-hearted tone to the story. Overall, these elements contribute to the satirical and ironical portrayal of life of the Western frontier.
The tone domineering and the attitude to the subject narration implied. In Drifting North by Andy Adams, the dominant tone is often matter of fact with undertone of rugged determination. The matter of fact tone implies an attitude of resilience toward the subject of narration. It suggests a recognition of the challenges and dangers inherent in frontier existence, but also a willingness to confront and overcome them.
So, for the next question is about the narrative devices that help to convey the narrator's attitude and how the word's choice helps. So, before I go to the answer for the prose, I want to explain about what is a narrative device. So, narrative device is a writing technique you can use to tell a story. It is a combination of tone, point of view, and tense to create a consistent narrative that the reader can follow throughout a story. There are many types of narrative devices. For example, chronological, which is forward, the story is from one point to the other is continues forward, present to future maybe, or yeah, forward. And then reverse chronological, which is backwards. So if forward is 1 2 3, then the the reverse chronological is 3 2 1. And then there are real time, it's like the title, real time. And then breaking the fourth wall, which the performance and audience are combined. And then epistolic, like a diary. And then documentary, framing story or flashbacks. And then stream of consciousness. Now, about the prose, drifting north. On the second paragraph, you can read, there's a text where we were expected to arrive in Dodge early in June, but when we reached the North Fork of the Canadian, we were 2 weeks behind the time. So it implies that it is in the past. They are late for something, for the event. So it can conclude that the story is reverse chronological, which is from the past to the present, or maybe the past and then upcoming event and then other events that started from the past.
Okay, next, the most obvious type of irony. Ironies in Drifting North by Andy Adams encompasses various types such as situational irony and dramatic irony. Situational irony, where events unfold in unexpected ways contrary to what is anticipated based on circumstances, and dramatic irony, where there is a contrast between what characters know and what readers are aware of. For example, the situational irony, the marshal trusts the guard funds turns out to be a robber, showcasing a stark contrast between trust and betrayal. And the dramatic irony, the cowpuncher faced his fate with stoicism, while his partner showed fear and plead for mercy, revealing a contrast in reaction notes to the audience but not the characters.
Next, we got number 8, which is about characters who often use verbal irony in this prose and why. And are they disappointed or being realistic? So for number 8 is, there's a character named Bao. I know how to pronounce it. Bao, Baugh. This character is used irony often. Let's just go into the sentence. The sentence is, "You couldn't help liking the fellow for his frank answers." The fellow that Bao talk about is a prisoner. Why is this an irony? Because uh, it is strange, right? When a prisoner, someone who is wrong, someone who has a guilt, being honest, being frank about his answers, his story. That is why he said that you couldn't help liking the that he is being helping that fellow for his frank answer. And then that is the why. That is the answer for why. And then are they disappointed or being realistic? This is kind of the hard part, because it's not a disappointment, but maybe it's more of being realistic. Always being realistic, because yeah, prisoners just normally lie a lot, right? Because they don't want to be in a guilt. And next we got, why does verbal irony take the form of sarcasm? So before we go to the answer, uh, let me explain you about what is irony. Irony is a situation that are strange or funny because things happen in a way that seems to be the opposite of what you expected. And why is it paired with sarcasm? Because when the reader or the audience get into the joke or acknowledge or agree with the joke or the irony, it is considered as sarcasm. That is why irony take the form of sarcasm, jokes, satire. And one of the example is, "You couldn't help liking the fellow for his frank answers." This sentence from the prose is counted as a sarcasm because even though the character is implying him being realistic, it is still considered as a joke or sarcasm because the character was trying to make fun of the prisoner's strange personality. It is normal when you see a prisoner, an inmate, who is they already know that they are guilty, but they're being true. They're being frank of their answers, which is why it is considered as an irony, and as a reader we will accept it as a joke, and it makes the irony become a sarcasm.
Okay, the next question is, do situational ironies, if any, result from fate or human actions? In Drifting North, situational irony primarily arises from human actions rather than fate. The characters in Adam's stories often face circumstances that are the direct result from their decisions, the actions of others, or the inherent risk of cowboy life. These ironies might include, for example, effort to control or direct the cattle that lead to unexpected difficulties, or strategies to deal with the weather or terrain that don't pan out as planned. The next question is, are the characters aware of the situational ironies? In many cases, characters may not immediately recognize the irony of their situations, given their immersion in the challenges at hand. Their focus is typically on resolving the immediate problem rather than reflecting on the irony of their circumstances. The next question is, should we blame the characters for creating the situational ironies or for not understanding them? Blaming the characters for creating situational ironies or for not understanding them would not entirely be fair or constructive. The characters are often depicted as doing their best under difficult and unpredictable circumstances. Their decisions are based on their experiences, the information available to them at the time, and their judgment about the best course of actions. The situational ironies that arise are more a commentary on the nature of human life and the challenges of the cattle industry than a critique of individual characters' decision or understanding. The next question is, what is the author's attitude towards the ironies in the work? The author's attitude towards the situational ironies in his work is characterized by an understanding and acceptance of the unpredictability of life, a respect for the resiliences of his characters, and an appreciation for the lesson learned through an unexpected outcomes. He views he views the ironies not with cynicism, but as integral elements of the human experience, especially within the unique context of the American West during the era of cattle drives. The last question is, does the author share his attitude to the readers? In Drifting North, the author is able to share his attitude in the context of his works and the broader lesson he imparts about facing life's inherent unpredictability and challenge to the readers.
And now we have arrived on the last thing, which is conclusion. So, the conclusion of our analyzing is that in Drifting Home by Andy Adams, the style of the writers is straightforward and vivid, depicting the rugged life of cowboys in the late 19th century American West. The tone is nostalgic and also reflective, blending fondness with melancholy as the narrator reminisces about the challenges and also camaraderie of frontier life. That's all from us. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.